Okay, greetings everybody. So I wanted to go ahead and follow up with the interview on with Tylee Ryan that happened on the day that Charles Vallow was murdered. So again, this is a reaction video where I'm just going to evaluate her responses and how they compare to Lori Vallow's how her story compares to Lori Vallow's response. So let me get to this point. All right. Now, the first thing is I moved this forward. They left her sitting here for quite some time by herself. There are moments in this where she does seem to be just a little bit bothered. Um, Not the whole time. At I think she just seems, in general, a little detached and unaffected by all that's happened, and I think that's rather sad, considering that the man that really was the only father she ever knew um, was just killed with basically just the moment she walked out of the house. Um, so it is interesting that she is so detached. I don't think that Tali had a happy life. I think things were unhappy for her. Um, I think it must have been very difficult to be Lori Vallow's child. So I'm going to fast forward now to where the interviewer comes into the room. And she's humming. It may be a self soothing thing, right? Okay.
Stream 85 plus
It
channels
started
and
an,
save up to
it,
5.
hold on just a minute. Let that ad play out. Okay, here we go. Same interviewer.
Okay. So I know this is
heat homes for almost zero cost.
a silly question because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start and explain. And I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
So I woke up probably around like 7:50, I want to say, because I heard.
Okay, so this is what I talked about in the previous interview with Lori Vallow. Is this investigator? She has her standard way, which is to try to turn the power over to the witness or the person being interviewed. And so she starts with her standard, this may sound like a foolish question, blah, blah, blah. But tell me, just start your story. Now, this is intentional because wherever the person chooses to begin to speak, whatever their focus is, that is going to tell the investigator that there's something critical about that moment, right? In Lori's case, she began by laughing, Duper's delight. She recognized that it was a ludicrous situation that she was in. And then she started with, well, we just moved into this house 3 weeks ago. So it almost made me think, aha, was moving into that house specific to the ultimate demise of Charles? Where Tylee chooses to start, however, is the morning of the incident, but not just any point, not just I was laying in bed and I woke up and heard yelling. She says, well, I woke up at 7:50. this is the beginning of a script, I think. I think this is the beginning of a script that's been memorized. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that she knew that Charles would be losing his life, but maybe we have to do this so that we can get a divorce, something like that. And then she got manipulated in Lori saying, oh, well, he attacked Uncle Alex and Alex had to protect himself. I think Tylee was sucked in to go along with the script, to go along with the setup, and that when Tylee left the house, then that was the cue to Alex to go ahead and finish Charles off. I also wonder if Tylee was troubled by what had happened, and if that is what started the downward spiral that both Tylee and JJ would lose their lives. I think that Lori couldn't take JJ alone. I think that JJ was more than what Lori's available coping skills could manage. I think by all accounts from Melanie Gibb and others, I think that JJ was primarily being taken care of by Tylee and also by Alex. I just don't think Lori had it in her. I think she was too out of control at this point emotionally to manage a special needs child. I think if Lori and Chad were worried about Tylee, that Tylee was going to break and that she was going to tell the truth about what happened that morning, I think they had no other choice, at least in their eyes. I think they had no other choice but to end it. And I think Lori said, I can't keep JJ without Tylee. I can't keep him. I can't tend to him without Tylee. So it is very cynical. It is very awful, but it does make sense, and it would fit with what we know about Lori's personality.
Yelling from right outside my door, and I don't even know where, but I immediately jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's.
Okay, now in a normal world, a kid says, I woke up, they was screaming, I freaked out, I grabbed my bat, I went running out to see what was going on. Correct? It's fairly normal for a kid to have a baseball bat in their room. But Tylee, for some reason, feels like she has to give an excuse for why there is a baseball bat in her room. Again, this is another red flag. It reeks of a script. It sounds like someone that is developing an alibi, and oh, well, why did you have a baseball bat? Well, because I'm a kid, because I play baseball with my little brother? No, because I was at my uncle's. I'm too young to have a gun. I had to protect myself. I mean, it's really, really, really odd.
Myself, I just wanted something to feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get pepper spray or anything. So I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So your bedroom, you said that right outside your bedroom door, and I didn't go in the house, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. So what is your bedroom door open to?
My bedroom door open, so the room that my uncle was staying in, the room that's kind of like the guest room, if my room's right here, that's right there.
Okay.
And then my little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in and
big great room, kind of living room.
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but.
Hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house. So.
Right. So, yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed my baseball bat and I opened the door and it was.
Now, I had a thought. I thought this was kind of odd that she felt, again, the need to explain away why there's no furniture in the living room. They'd only been moved in for 3 weeks. It really wasn't an issue that there was no furniture, but it was like she felt the need to say, no, 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 there's no furniture there, and that is intentional. We don't want furniture there. It's going to be a dance room and it's unconventional, but hey, my mom is unconventional. What you don't know, or you may, is that Tylee was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. JJ was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. There was no real furniture. This house was really not lived in, really. And so again, I get back to this thought, did Lori get this house knowing that there would be a murder there? It was this part of the plan to make this happen in Charles Vallow's life, get out of there as quick as they got in and collect the insurance money, and then it'd be happy days are here again. I don't know, but the red flags are curious.
Was my stepdad, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. And he was just screaming at both of them, like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly, I was just too, like wired, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just kind of just stood there, and then
you can almost hear Lori, right? I mean, the way that Tylee talks is exactly the way Lori would say it. Don't tell me what to do. But I do find it incredibly interesting. They're both saying, yeah, there was horrible screaming, like they were screaming at each other. They were so mad. Oh, I don't remember what they said. I just don't remember. I don't remember not one thing. Not one sentence, not one word. I have no idea what they were fighting about. Okay, please put yourself in your bed first thing this morning before you ever got up. You're laying there, you're all cozy, sleeping, and your first awareness, you begin to kind of come out of your sleep. You haven't opened your eyes yet. And suddenly you hear somebody outside your window and they're screaming and yelling at someone. Are you going to just ignore their words and just go rushing outside? Or are you going to get very still and listen very closely to try to figure out what is happening outside of your window? Your natural instinct to protect yourself is going to kick in, and you're going to be waiting to find out, is there a threat out there? Maybe there's an active shooter. Maybe it's my neighbors and they're having a domestic, marital squabble. You're not just going to grab a bat and go running into the lion's den. That is exactly against self-preservation, and that self-preservation is an instinct. So now we've got this young lady after mom is saying, I don't know what they were saying. Get off of me, Al. Oh, come on, Lori. No, that's silly. But now this young lady is repeating exactly the same thing. I don't know. So she knows that it was 7:50 when she got up because of screaming, but she did not try to listen to see what they were screaming about. Now, what we get from Lori and from David Warwick and from Melanie Gibb is that JJ was very often screaming. He was very often angry or irritable, right? Why didn't this young lady wake up and go, oh yeah, that's JJ screaming? Or at the very least, isn't that what she would have done when she woke up? She heard the scream, and wouldn't she have zeroed in on the voices? Wouldn't she have zeroed in on the voices and tried to hear if JJ was freaking out, if he was having a troubled morning. This is not true that Tylee did not know what they were saying. I think that this was part of the script, and what this was designed to do was to reduce the chance that the cops would catch them telling two different stories. So saying, I don't know, I don't remember, it's sort of a favorite phrase of the guilty that are trying to be found not guilty. Barry Morphew himself repeated that phrase over and over and over and over. In fact, it was so many times the cops were so disgusted with him that they actually brought it out during the preliminary hearing. I don't remember the exact number. It was something like, he said it 100 and he said, I don't know, I don't remember, like 100 and something times in like a 2-hour interview. It was pretty crazy. So we got little Tylee now saying, I don't know what they were saying. I guess I was just too hyped up. Lori didn't know what they were saying. But you and I know human nature. You would have instinctively, your brain would have immediately zeroed in on that angry yelling voice to assess for danger and what you should do.
And my uncle kind of moved out of the way, and then my mom kind of went past him and into like the big room.
Okay.
Where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then
So they were more in the hallway.
Yeah, they were at like the end of the hallway,
Okay.
basically. And so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. My uncle was like right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. I kind of just held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out like between them, and they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to go to jail. And I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
When you said they were yelling, who was yelling?
It was mostly my stepdad.
Okay.
Okay, now remember, Lori was heavily invested in character assassination and triangulation where Charles is concerned, correct? Got to make him the demon. You got to make him the bad guy. He was the aggressive one. He was the one that was out of control. He was a crazy one. Everybody else was calm. Remember? Okay, now listen to how Tylee characterizes what Charles is doing, what Alex is doing, what Lori's doing, and what she is doing.
Well, he was really the only one like yelling.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was kind of like responding, but I honestly couldn't tell you what they were saying. It was kind of just like all jumbled up in my head. And so I just kind of stuck the baseball bat out there, and then he just grabbed it and tried to take it. So I held on to the end, and then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it. And that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I fell to the ground, and then... kind of like, I saw him take a step back, so my uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of took him back so he couldn't like do anything.
You saw your stepdad like take a step back?
Take a step back, because he was really close
to
begin with, and then and so my mom said to go with JJ, and so I ran out the door, and then I kind of just stood there with my little brother. He was in the front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there and like.
Now remember, Lori said that she had to get JJ into the car. Tylee's telling you JJ's in the front seat.
He was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay. We have to stay in. And I was like, oh, like, well, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no. And then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here. And then eventually my mom came out, and then we left from there.
Okay.
Now, this is another source of inaccuracy. She says, eventually my mom came out. She makes it seem like she was with JJ a long time. Lori's story is that JJ goes running. I'm sorry. Tylee goes running out. She says, go to the car, get with JJ. Don't let him come in the house. And so Tylee jumps up off the ground and goes running back out to the car. And then she goes into the kitchen to get away from Charles. And that's when the gunshot went off. Not eventually. It was, according to Lori, it was immediately. So what happened to the story here?
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house? Has your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the basement I was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like Al's okay, right? Because that's my uncle. So I just wanted to make sure that, like, my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff.
Interesting, right? No concern about Charles.
And so she was like, no, like, Al's fine. Like, we're just going to take JJ to school. And I was like, okay. So I just got in the car. And then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, which was chicken fries for some reason.
Okay. I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
Yeah, right? This was a point. I think that when Lori was doing the script, I think she was minimizing points where they would tell a different story. They wouldn't know details, which is where you would say, I don't know, or I didn't notice. But then she was sure to pull out very small little details that people would say, oh, well, how would you get that wrong? So what did you order on in the drive-thru? Did you go in the drive-thru or did you go inside the restaurant? What TV show did you watch? What were they talking about on Martha Stewart? Right? These people that watch true crime, they begin to get a feel for how these detectives question people to try to slip them up, catch them in a lie. And so she minimized the big important details. I don't remember. But then she magnified the little small inconsequential details that would make an investigator think, oh yeah, this really happened. And so if they can remember the little tiny details, they're more likely to believe the whole entire story. So I think it just ended up making Tylee, her story look contrived. I would hope that these police didn't believe this story, but clearly they did because Alex Cox got away with this 100%. It's really shocking.
Breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast.
I want to point out one more thing, and that is Tylee's body language here. So she's telling her story. Let's watch her facial expressions and her body.
The front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and like he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay. We have to stay in.
Remember, Lori said she had to put JJ in the car.
And I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no. And then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here. And then eventually my mom came out, and then we left from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house?
Okay. Did you see? She said, eventually my mom came out. We left them from there. And then she says, yeah, like checking a box, like, yes, I got it right. I think I remembered everything. And now look at her mouth. Look at her mouth. She knows she's telling a lie. It's uncomfortable.
How does your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the bass when I was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, Al's okay, right? Because that's my uncle. So I just wanted to make sure that, like, my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff. And so she was like, no, like, Al's fine. Like, we're just going to take JJ to school. And I was like, okay. So I just got in the car. And then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, which was chicken fries for some reason.
Okay. I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
She looks very uncomfortable, doesn't she? She looks like she's nauseated.
Breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast.
That's a sad young woman right there. She's sad. She's been manipulated her whole entire life. She is living with a person with a severe personality disorder, and she has felt the effects. Resulting in, of course, had she reached adulthood, had she reached an age of consent, then I think it's possible that she too would have had serious problems telling the truth, managing problems up on the table, fact-based rather than manipulating behind the scenes. I think she learned from her mother, but I think she was unhappy about the way that this all played out. I think she knew that it was wrong, and the effects are there. It's her body is speaking. Our bodies remember it, and they tell the story. So it is quite sad to see this. Again, look at her mouth. She's licking her lips, holding her mouth closed really tight. She knows. I can't mess this up. I gotta just stick to what my mom taught me, what my mom told me to say. Don't add any more. Keep everything under wraps. This is a huge burden for a child her age to carry.
So to kind of back up a little bit, so you had talked about your stepdad, when you put the bat out, your stepdad was coming towards your mom. Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah.
See, I don't know that I would have. I really like this investigator. I like her questioning. No leading or anything like that. But this was a bad question. I don't think she should have. She should have just said, let's go back to this. Let's revisit where you put the bat up, and then be quiet. And then because it's going to be really instructive what the person comes up with. How they choose to answer that is going to tell you where their thoughts are, what's the most important thing to them. But by saying, like, why did you put the bat up? Now she's led the witness into a storyline. So she lost a great deal of information by leading.
He was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few, like, violent times.
So it's been mundane for the most part. But that's not what Lori said, right? Lori said that it's been crazy. He's been violent, not toward her, not toward JJ, but toward Tylee and also, Colby. Saying even that a couple of times he almost hit Tylee. And Tylee comes out with, well, it's pretty much been mundane. Mundane is a very specific word, meaning it's quiet, it's boring. He's been fine. He's non-confrontational most of the time. There's been a few times. Now, Lori said that over this 14-year marriage, there were around 5 times that he got so freaked out and he was so out of control, not hitting, not breaking things, yelling, that they had to go to a hotel for a couple of days, right? We know that Lori stole his truck, canceled his plane flight, his plane ticket, stole $35,000 from his work bank account so that employees did not get a paycheck. Would that be enough to make you yell? I think I would yell. I think I would lose my mind if my husband pulled that crap, had the door locks changed when I finally got into the house, no furniture, nothing, everything gone. That would be enough to make a person yell. 14, almost 15 years, that is a very long marriage. For it to have only happened 5 times, and we know what Lori's capable of, I would say Charles Vallow sounds like a saint. It really, it's shocking the way that Lori views this situation. And now we hear Tylee is saying exactly the same thing. Well, for the most part, for the last 14 years, it's been fairly mundane. What? You mean except when he couldn't make payroll because she stole his $35,000? What about that? Or that she stole his truck and canceled his plane ticket? What about that? So Charles Vallow lived a nightmare with this woman.
Of him when I was really scared that he was going to hit me or hit my mom, just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along, just since I was little. And so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that. And so so I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
again, she's lying. She knows she's lying. You can see the discomfort.
So that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by, the end of the bat, the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of, lunged forward and kind of lost, my footing.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was like, just let go, and so, I kind of, slipped and I fell, kind of on, my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then...
Okay, so she lunged forward and let go. She fell on her side. Well, according to Lori, she fell backwards onto her bottom. Yeah? So a critical difference.
And from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay, did you see, when you fell towards your side, did you see what he did with the bat?
Stream 85 plus channels and save up to $500 a year with YouTube TV. Try it free.
No, I wasn't really looking in that direction because from where I fell, the door was kind of more in my line of vision because I fell looking this way and the door was right there, so I didn't look back.
So he was at a different line of sight than what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you saw him kind of take a step back, and from what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, you didn't necessarily see your uncle pulling back, but it seems like that maybe...
It seems like he wouldn't have taken a step back on his own, so it's more of an assumption than anything. Okay. I didn't see him physically take it back.
And does that make sense based on where your uncle was at that time?
Yeah, he was behind him, because
Okay.
he wasn't on this side with me and my mom, so he was
Okay.
behind him.
Okay.
Because that's kind of just the order where everyone walked out.
And when that happened and then your mom told you to go, did you see what happened with your stepdad and uncle?
No.
Okay. And then when she went outside with your brother, you never came back.
Notice too, in this part, after she answers, she's not closing her lips really hard. She's not licking her lips. So it does seem that this part is truthful.
Back inside.
Oh, I went to go get my mom's purse
Okay.
from inside so that we could have, like, her wallet and everything, but this was all happening, like I said, like, in the bigger room right here. And so I went through the garage door, and so the garage door is right here, and then there's, like, a little hallway, and then this is kind of where everything is, and then this is my mom's room.
Okay.
So when I went in, I kind of, like, just tuned everything out, ran to my mom's closet, ran back, so I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything.
When did you go back in and get her purse?
After my mom came out.
Okay. So after you heard that loud noise?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you heard the loud noise, was your mom outside or inside?
I'm trying to think. I think she was inside when it happened and the door opened, like, immediately after.
Okay. So very quickly after the door opened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't, like, a long period of time, because I remember not, like, thinking about it for that long, and if my mom hadn't come out immediately, I would have, been thinking about it for a long time.
So the timeline is really blown to hell at this part. I'm very surprised that the cops did not follow up more with Alex. It's pretty shocking that he got away with this because their stories parted in so many critical ways. So it's a really big deal that she went back into the house after the shooting. She went back into the house to get Lori's purse, which is crazy, right? But Lori's story was very different and never included anyone. In fact, she said she got in the car and just quickly drove away because she just thought, oh, I got to get JJ to school, like a protective kind of mama bear, oh, there's a shooting. I need to get my kids to a safe place. Well, now we know that that's not what happened at all, that there was extended time between the time that Tylee left the inside of the house, went out with JJ. There was an extended amount of time. She says, eventually my mother came out. But then Lori's story was that Tylee left and immediately the shot happened. And now Tylee's saying that the shot happened right as she was opening the door. Then she came out. Lori says, I got in the car. I got JJ in the car and then we left. But now we learn, no, that's not true. There would have been a period of time where Lori was sitting in the car with JJ by themselves as Tylee goes into the house to get Lori's purse, which is crazy because she's saying that she's being a mama bear, that she just wants to get, remember that comment that Lori said that she wanted to get Tylee out of there for whatever fight was about to happen, even though the fight had already happened. So no, the cops really dropped the ball on this, in my opinion.
A lot longer than
Okay.
I had.
So obviously I don't know like your mom and stepdad and uncle like you do. I don't. So can you tell me kind of where the three of them were at kind of emotionally and how they were behaving when all this was happening?
When all this was happening or like before?
When all this was happening. So like when you came out of your room and he took the bat from you and...
Yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like kind of a crazy person.
Okay.
Like screaming and like his face was beet red. He just looked like really mad. I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second and I honestly like it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure like rage, like he was just seeing red. So I haven't really seen him like all the way like that before. That's like the craziest I've ever seen him. And then my uncle was kind of calm, like not super calm. Obviously, it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know, he was kind of just standing there in the doorway, kind of just being protective of my mom, but he wasn't yelling or really saying anything. Okay. And my mom was just he was yelling at my.
Okay, now remember, according to Lori and Tylee, Charles had just beat the hell out of Alex with a baseball bat. So he's calm. The man is calm after getting hit with the baseball bat, back and forth, swinging. Charles was swinging it back and forth, remember? It absolutely makes no sense. And Lori said, oh, they were screaming. Or, I don't remember what they were saying. And Tylee says, oh, I woke up and there was terrible screaming and I don't know what they were saying. Now it appears that no, they were not screaming. It was just Charles screaming, but everybody else was so calm. This is gaslighting at its finest. Remember with Brian Laundrie, he was so angry, he was able to choke his girlfriend. He was able to grab her by the face and drag her around. And yet when the cops started talking, he was able to assume the body of a little 5-year-old child, being very compliant. This is part of the narcissist game, being hyper aware of other people's position and changing your own demeanor and your own actions according to whoever is watching you, whatever the power differential is in the room. So I find, again, I just can't believe that the cops didn't arrest Alex. This is incredible.
My mom was kind of just like talking. Okay. So yeah.
But you don't remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying at all, or what he was mad about?
Okay, notice her mouth. Now she's back to lying again. She's uncomfortable. She knows I can't say more than what my mom told me to. I got to be quiet. Don't ad lib. Don't say another word other than what was in the script.
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Honestly, like
we're talking about something that probably happened over 2 seconds of time.
Yeah, so. Honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time. Yeah. So.
That was probably truthful. You have to wonder, did this young lady recognize how absurd and ridiculous the story was? And so, she tried to insert a little bit of logic to this woman to say, you know what, lady, I know this is a crazy story too. I don't believe it. You don't believe it, because we both know it's bullshit. It's kind of the feeling I got when she said, it's more like 4 minutes.
I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I kind of just do that whenever things are like really loud. I kind of just like tune.
Again, taking responsibility. She's been told, toe the line, keep your mouth shut. She knows it sounds ridiculous. And so she's now going to denigrate herself. Oh yeah, well, I have this defect that when I get upset, my memory goes bad. And that's not true. It's not true. She remembers, she knows what happened, and she knows the story she's telling is not true. We can see that with her body language.
What people are saying out, because I don't know, just yelling isn't fun, obviously, for a kid to hear. And with my biological dad, I always heard him like screaming and stuff, so I kind of just learned how to like tune it out.
So when you woke up to yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling?
Yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't. Like, when you first wake up, you're kind of disoriented. And then I remembered that my stepdad was, like, coming in to take my little brother to school today, so I immediately, like, knew it was him. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle I knew was staying.
Remember, Lori said She did not tell JJ that Charles was coming to take him to school. Remember? That she wanted it to be a secret because she didn't want JJ to get upset. So right here, right off the bat, Tylee is caught in another lie.
And so I knew that was him, and then my mom, obviously, I knew that was her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then,
and see the discomfort. She knows she's telling a lie.
so you stepped out of your room and you took the bat with you. Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Like, obviously, I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. In hindsight, I probably just shouldn't have brought it out at all because it caused more trouble. But it was kind of just first instinct, and it was right by my bed. So I kind of just like jumped up and grabbed it.
So I'm trying not to put like words in your mouth and stuff.
You're good.
So was there something in particular that you were concerned about that you would have taken the bat with you?
Only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom.
I'm assuming you're talking about your stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so your heart is broken for this young lady. This is it's very difficult to watch, but it just goes to show how much power these people with personality disorders, how much power they can exert onto the lives of their family members and people that love them. They can be very damaging long term. So it's pretty heartbreaking.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take the bat and like do something with it. It was kind of just like, I need something in my hands to like feel safer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my kind of second dumb question.
You can almost see the shame, right?
I
she
don't
just
know
looks
that there
like she's just
necessarily
filled with
I
shame.
kind of want to make sure is there anything that we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about or anything that you think is important or anything that I should know? Because it's harder for you because you were there, and so I'm asking questions about something I didn't even see. So I just want to make sure like I didn't miss something or anything that you think I should know about.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. And if you think of something, in 5 minutes and tomorrow or whatever else, we can always talk again. It's totally fine. So, I talked to your mom about, we have some victim services people that work here. They're not cops. They're really good at what they do. So I really want your mom to talk to them because I think it would be good that your mom has and you guys have some, maybe kind of some extra support if you need anything kind of go moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to check in with your mom real quick, and if she's good to go, then I'm going to introduce one of them to you guys. That way you guys can talk before I take you guys back. Okay? Sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me at all?
No,
okay. If you do, let me know, okay? Okay.
It's pitiful. And now she's going to start paying attention to the size of her legs. You would hope that a young lady this age that there would be empathy I mean, you don't exactly have to adore your stepdad, although you would think that you would. I mean, he wasn't really that bad of a guy. I mean, we've got plenty of information from others that he was actually a really great guy. You're seeing the effects of a mother with personality disorder manipulating her child and basically confusing and destroying the natural humanity of the child. She just has no empathy. It's just not there. It just doesn't, she just, there's no loss. There's no sense of right or wrong. She, in my opinion, she's been given a script and she's followed it. And ultimately, sadly, she will lose her life at the hands of her mother. It is very difficult to accept or to recognize that this young woman died in a heinous manner. Heinous. Did her uncle do it? The one, this young lady says, is Uncle Al okay? She's showing love and concern for her uncle. She doesn't show any kind of concern for Charles. Is it Alex later on that would dismember her? Was it Chad? Or Chad Daybell's children? What do you guys think? What's your answer to all this? This is a true abomination. This case is evil in the flesh. I think it's the stories that will emerge are going to be much worse than anything we saw with Jodi Arias. I think Lori Vallow has hurt a lot of people over the course of her lifetime. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening and watching my videos. And I'd love to hear your opinion of the information presented. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment, I would really, really appreciate it. Obviously, you can provide a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on whether or not you found the content to be interesting. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will consider subscribing. And of course, if you would share our videos on social media, then we would appreciate it so much. The YouTube algorithm is not showing much love to small channels lately. So if you want to share the video, please feel free to share it. All right. I will be back for another video. But in the meantime, would love to know what your opinion is on what you heard today. Thank you. Goodbye.